Welcome to the Clear the Shelf podcast with Chris and Chris, the show that meets at the intersection of education and entertainment to discuss online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, wholesale, and all facets of selling on Amazon. We'll bring you news, tactics, strategies, insights, stories, and interviews to help you grow your Amazon business. And now, here are your hosts, Chris Grant and Chris Race. What is going on, Amazon sellers, and welcome to a very special kind of behind-the-scenes episode of Clear the Shelf podcast with Chris and my in-the-flesh co-host, Chris Racic. We kind of, in this episode, it's going to be short, but we're going to break down kind of the series that we just recorded. We were able to record with, four different people here in one day. We batched this all out, as we've talked about before, batching your work. That's kind of what we did. We're both in Miami, Florida to be able to do this. And one, it's been a ton of fun, not only because I get to meet Chris live in person, but also, I don't know, the energy was different. It was nice, and we could feed off of each other and kind of see the reactions of people in the room. It was nice to see some jokes land live in person, but we're going to break that down a little bit. And so welcome to the episode. Of course, the show's not free, as always. If you get something from this, make sure to leave a comment below. We are going to be giving away something to one person every week if you leave a comment. So let us know what is helpful, what you like about the show, what you don't like, and we'll pick one person at random every week. And this week we're going to give away a copy of the OA Challenge replays so that you can learn how to do online arbitrage as best as you possibly can. Chris, why don't you start, man? What did you take away from what we talked about today with these four different guys?
You know what? Batching it like this, the challenge of having to wear pants, that was, this is the first batch of. Now I'm not confirming. I won't confirm nor deny that have or haven't had pants on in any of the previous episodes, but this one for sure. Pants were required. So that was interesting in and of itself. But you know what? We need to give away a shirt down the road, too.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea.
That's pretty rare.
Yeah.
So I think that might be a viable prize. Let us know in the comments if, if you'd be interested in some Clear the Shelf podcast swag.
I'm down for that. I think 3 people in the world own one of these. You, myself, and I begrudgingly gave one to my wife. Yeah.
No, but it was. It was great to finally meet you. I don't know if the audience may not realize that we haven't actually met in person.
Yeah.
Until today.
Yeah, it was
this batch.
It was great. I even gave Chris an awkward hug when we first met. It was fantastic.
You're not a hugger, but I am. So yeah. It was. Thank you for giving in.
Of course.
But it was an interesting dynamic. I'll be curious to see how it plays out, once the episodes are released and, people get a chance to watch it and comment on it. It felt different. Well, I think it's interesting because, this is towards the tail end, obviously, because we have all the content that we're talking about now. So we're doing this at the end of our batch, the end of our session. But somebody made the comment that, you guys have been going at it for, 4.5 hours or something. You guys must be tired. I'm not tired.
No, not at all.
That didn't feel like work, No. Although I hope my wife doesn't watch it because this is a business. This is a work trip, honey. It was a work trip, but it didn't feel like work. It was a whole lot of fun. We made jokes about how, when we're doing it across, the video, program that we use when we're sitting at our own desks, the safety of having our show doc up in front, and like essentially it can be, if you need it scripted and you can kind of, while someone's talking, you can kind of prep your spot. So I was worried about that, but
I was too. I was really worried. I was worried that, we weren't going to know what question to ask or kind of where to dive deeper and where to kind of pull back. And that didn't happen. So I'm glad,
Yeah, we were still able to ask follow-up questions that were interesting, or a guest would say something that we wanted to go a little bit deeper on, and it was pretty natural. It happened organically.
Yeah, it was nice. And it was nice to be able to feed off their energy as well, which I think we can do a little bit when we're, everyone's on a computer, but it was nice to kind of be able to, I don't know, feel the energy in the room,
Right.
which was great. And honestly, I think we had some smart people. I think they're going to be. I mean, one of our guests was Miles, or Flips for Miles. A lot of people know who he is. But then I think there were some people who are not as well known or are working on, really kind of building their own personal brand. Sertac, I think, was a fantastic guest. I'm really glad he stopped by. Yeah. He laughed when I said, immigrant child energy, but I really think that's a serious thing.
Yeah. And that was a really good part of that interview, is when, we got to stretch out on that topic a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
That was worth it.
I mean, that's those are some of my favorite biographies, is when you've got someone who is kind of, their first generation, in the country, and what they've learned from their parents, and kind of how they've become, the work ethic that's instilled, the not wanting to quit, there is no way back, we're burning the boats. Those are all kind of the things, the mentality that Sertac had, that I'm like, holy crap, that's why we're going to do a follow-up episode on mindset, because his was bulletproof.
Yeah. And he got it naturally. He got it just by growing up in that family, just their circumstances. So I'm interested to see the feedback on that episode. That was really good.
Yeah.
So, and he, make sure you watch like his mindset, because there are a couple different places in that interview where, we all know somebody, or a type of seller that would give up at that point,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just not an option.
Oh, yeah.
But the solution is so simple. It's just like, at one point in time in that interview, he says, we ask him a question, and he's almost like a little sheepish about it, because it's not as profound as maybe he thinks it should be. But he says, just do it,
Mm-hmm.
which, it gets dismissed as cliche, but
Thanks, Nike.
Right? Yeah, it's your fault, Phil. But it's still great advice. Like early on in one of our episodes, we had a quote that I still love, that says, essentially, just do it scared.
Mm-hmm.
If you're scared to do it, just do it scared. Like, too many people need everything perfect and all the circumstances and all the risk removed, until they're comfortable, and that's not the way it goes.
No. And that's not just this business. That is any business. You want to start any side hustle, whether it's Amazon or, I mean, heck, there's risk if you want to become an Uber driver.
Right.
It's different than, losing a couple $100 like Sertac did, but
the wear and tear on your car. Yeah. I mean, everything. There are detractors on, there will be detractors on everything that you try,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why the mindset is so important. Like, quit spending so much time figuring out why it isn't going to work.
Yeah.
That's such a crucial thing to get over, or such a crucial shift in thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just keep thinking how lucky we were to have the people show up. I put the invitation out there to several people. We could have had anybody show up, and we had a bunch of solid people show up. Mm-hmm. OJ, who drove an hour to be here. I think that some things that people are going to be able to take away are his time management skills. I mean, I can't fathom. I don't know. I feel like I'm sometimes at the end of my rope, with a few things that I do, but he's a dad, a husband, has got a real estate business, has a full-time job, is starting a prep center, helps out in the Buy Box, which is a Discord group, and he's already looking to the next thing as well. And so I think being able to take some of his time management skills not only will be helpful for me, which is honestly, that's why we started this podcast. We get to use this as an excuse to go and learn from others who are doing, either better than us or differently than us. but being able to implement some of those into my life, I think will be powerful, which should hopefully be powerful for anybody who's listening.
Yeah.
So,
and it's, it becomes very evident just how impressive, it's like you want to ask him, like, okay, why is there more?
Mm-hmm.
Like you flat out ask him, like, okay, with all this going on, and it'll make more sense once when you listen to the episode and listen to his schedule and all the things all the plates that he has spinning. You ask him, okay, what made you want to do this? And I didn't expect him to go the route of appreciating being a teacher, and getting fulfillment and the reward of watching someone that you helped succeed.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
No, I wouldn't expect that either, because maybe it's because, I know that we're both a touch, we've got a touch of the cynicism, but my very first thought with just about anybody who's in business is to be like, well, I want to make as much money as I possibly can, whether that is multiple businesses or going very deep on one business. And so I don't know, it was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. It
So,
really was.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. And then, there was a similar theme when we talked to Zach.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's in school. He's going into his senior year. He said
Going to senior year at
senior year college,
notorious party school,
right? But yet he's got this operation that he's doing OA, modeled after Miles,
mm-hmm.
which, so we know there's no small boy stuff there.
No
right?
small boy stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
He's got a VA, that he handled the training. He
Mm-hmm.
had some help, but he, installed that training. And man, if I had a tenth of the responsibility and the just the mindset that he's carrying when I was 21 years old, I mean, it's just, you wonder where the drive comes from, like thinking from my perspective, from the 21-year-old me,
right?
I never would have found. I wouldn't know where to look to find that drive.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I wish. I mean, I know what drove me when I was 21. What drove me is to get to Thursday, because on Thursday I could start going out, and it being somewhat socially appropriate, and that's what my wife and I did. I was married young, I was married I wasn't 21, she was. But that's kind of what drove me, is just let's work and then we get to go party all weekend long. And I didn't get that kind of intrinsic drive until we said, hey, let's start a family. And that's kind of when the switch flipped for me. But to see it happen so young in some of these guys and girls, I don't want to exclude them, but see it happen so young, I don't know, it fascinates me, number one, because where is it coming from? I don't see parenting changing that much between, my dad's generation and whatever generation is raising, current 21-year-olds. So is it solely because of the rise of social media and the ability to be able to take in, the Gary V type content, which we heard from not just Zach, but also Miles?
Yep.
Or I don't know, is there something in the water? Are they putting something new in the formula? Like, what is it,
Right. Because you'd almost think that it seems almost premature. You think that the generation now is going to have kids that realize that it's not the rat race.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to work for someone for 40 years just to retire and try to enjoy however many years you have left after, the standard formula.
Right.
These guys are getting into the game already knowing that. Just taking it as that's how it is. It doesn't have to be this way, and it's not a requirement, and they're not they're not groomed that way at all. They're kind of thinking for themselves, and they already know what took me decades
right
to learn.
Yeah. Did we hear the word exit from two people? Did two people bring up exit?
At least one. Yeah, probably two.
Yeah.
Two of these interviews.
And that's something I didn't even understand what an exit was until I was probably 28 or 29.
Right.
I had no idea. So yeah, it is fascinating. Some of the other, I don't know. some of the other things that I took away that I hope others will take away is networking. I know that we've touched on it over and over and over again, but and I think we do see some people, I don't know. I don't want to be so pompous that I'm like they're heeding what we're teaching, but I do see some people who take action on that kind of thing, but probably not enough. Every single person, bar none, said networking was one of the things that was the greatest levers in growing their businesses.
Yeah. And if they weren't directly talking about it, the example and their answer to the question that we were asking them, it was clear that it was the network, just hovering over top everything. I mean, everything from connections to Zach training, his network helped him train, and develop what sounds like an excellent VA that he's got working for him.
Yeah, I was a little jealous.
Me too. To Miles talking about a wholesale opportunity where it was $10,000 and just
he's essentially just providing cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally, Miles gave it, an example. That was truly his network coming to him and just, you have the entry, you can get us through the gate and there's just profit. I mean, it came to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
It's incredibly powerful. And I don't know, if you're not doing it yet, and I know that, it is uncomfortable, Yeah. I am an introvert, naturally. And let's be honest, when we get in front of the camera, I've got to turn it on because I'm not up here, normally. I'm much more calm and cool and collected. And my son's always like, Daddy, are you a robot? Because I don't know if you have emotions. Because that's just my regular level. Yeah, I don't know. It can be difficult and it can be uncomfortable. Even if you've been doing it for 5, 6, 10 years, it can still feel uncomfortable. But the rewards far outweigh the risk of looking silly for 5 minutes on a video or because you put out a tweet that didn't land or whatever it is. So,
and I think it's almost impossible to realize the value of networking. Even me and you who know how valuable it is.
Oh yeah.
Even just through being able to talk to so many different sellers and the conversations that we've had here and in groups, Discord or Facebook, wherever it is, there's so much more to it, even if you know how valuable it can be. You can do it to your own level of comfort somewhat.
Yeah.
We're not saying that everyone has to go and start a YouTube channel.
Right.
It's certainly not necessary.
Right.
It can simply be a matter of, there's always, inevitably there's conversation when your OA challenge winds down. You're doing your live video and then in the Facebook comment section, there are people like, hey, I'm in this area, and there's like these little mini, essentially like infant masterminds being born.
Absolutely.
You can do it there. It could be as simple as a little live video call, or a live video comment, and then you just take it over to a DM and it could be as simple as that. Or if you're in a Discord group, there's plenty of different Discords. Start with the community and maybe get the lay of the land if you're super hesitant to give it a try. But we can both promise you if you're thinking about it, it's going to be worth it.
Oh, absolutely, 100%, absolutely. Hey guys, wanted to take a quick second and thank you for listening to the Clear the Shelf podcast. My magnanimous co-host Chris Rasick has put together a gift for you for being a listener. It's called the Monthly Goal Tracking Spreadsheet, and it's free. The spreadsheet will help you break down and track how much you've purchased, which should be a leading indicator of how much you will sell, and then you'll be able to track how much you've sold as well as your estimated monthly profit on a daily basis. This will all feed into the daily averages so you can ensure that you're on track to meet your goals each and every month. Grab it for free today over at cleartheshelf.com/goal tracking. Thanks again for being a listener. Now back to the show. We may have, I don't know. I think that we've done an episode on it. I'm not, my memory's going. But we may need to do an episode on like, here is how to network. I think one of the things, I think people maybe want to start and maybe try, but the payoff is delayed a lot more than, selling your first item on Amazon. If you go do retail arbitrage, you get a product, you list it FBM, you could sell it, the same day and be paid in a couple of weeks. But with, putting yourself out there and trying to find your tribe, that payment can be delayed by a month or 6 months or a year. And so maybe that's why people don't do it as much as they probably should.
Well, it's almost counterintuitive to the business itself, because this is, a lot of people, if you go full time, chances are you're quitting, W-2, salary or whatever position, and you're getting away from the boss. You're getting away from deadlines and you're getting away from, making so little for your time, renting out your time essentially to someone else making a whole lot more money than you, so it's solitary in concept.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw that with the older sellers, being very protective of, products that you find and even stores. Like I post those stores that I do online arbitrage, and, I'll get people that send me messages and they're passively telling me that I'm stupid.
Yeah.
That it's, if you bought anything, it's tanked, be careful, like, oh, you're really worried about my well-being. Thank you so much.
Right.
Troll.
Sounds like you outed one of their sources almost sometimes.
Right. I've done that too, for sure. People have flat out admitted that. But so it kind of works against the concept of our day-to-day activity. It's very easy to become kind of confined and alone, in your business. But so that may be what's difficult to realize about the value of the network. Yeah. But I think it was it Zach? I think Zach said it. The value of a network, if anything, you get to learn from their mistakes.
Yeah.
Collectively, like not only, it's not just sourcing, I mean, you can combine and become like a sourcing group or whatever, which obviously if you're in a group with 5 other people, you're getting 5 times the leads, which, that makes sense. You can understand it that way. But there's also the existing as a business, you can learn from certain things. And I've experienced that in my own mastermind as well, which is why I specifically tried to get experienced sellers and newer sellers.
Yeah.
And I sold it to the experienced sellers because, don't think there isn't value in somebody who's newer to the game, because they still have a fresh set of eyes. Yeah. And they're going to remind you of things that you've long since forgotten about, but still may be important.
Oh, absolutely. That is, that's one of the things, having newer sellers, because I don't know, whether it is cynicism or just writing something off, or the fact that you just kind of get a gut feeling for things over time. You do look at things differently when you've been in the game for a while, and I don't want to equate. Excuse me. I don't want to equate newer sellers to children, but one of the things that I love about having kids, especially my son, is the question why gets asked so many times. But it forces me to think, and really come up with a good answer, because why is one of those questions that's also not outlawed in my home. I know it, some parents are like, you get 3, but we get as many as is necessary. But by having someone else maybe just even ask a question that may feel new, or may feel like, oh, well, everyone knows the answer to that, but then they want an explanation, that gives us the opportunity to really clarify it, and then, learn it even better.
Because you're forced to strip it down.
Yeah.
And in stripping away those layers that you've, built up over time, there's bias and there's bad habits built in that, so by being forced to strip it down and talk to me like I'm 5, essentially, that's helpful.
Yeah.
You're going to realize that there misconceptions, that you've kind of baked in along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. This, I don't know, being able to do this in person, and being able to bring in this many people in such a short time, I don't know. We're going to have to do this again. It was a lot of fun. I think it was a really great learning opportunity. And sorry, I'm looking down at the clock because we got to get out of here. But yeah, so, this was fantastic.
So we didn't do a quote with each interview.
Correct.
So I'm sure there are hundreds upon hundreds that hang on to the very last second of all of our episodes waiting for the quote.
Absolutely.
Which is completely facetious. I think it's only me and you that like quotes. It's self-serving.
We have a serious problem.
We do. Today,
a friend of mine shared a quote that they shared a quote that someone else shared on social media, and they were like, this seems off. And I was like, that's a Frederick Douglass quote. And they're like, did you just Google? And I'm like, no, I'm just that good. And then I Google the screenshot, and then, like, sure enough, it's a Frederick Douglass quote. And they're like, you have a problem. Yeah.
Shut up, nerd.
I do.
So we're going to give a quote for the series. And you mentioned networking was a common theme that looped around and around in all of the interviews. You can find it multiple times in each of the people that we talk to. Another common theme that I picked up as we talked to all of them was process.
Yes.
We heard the phrase multiple times of going to the goal and then working backwards, which is very much in the same family as, the James Clear, I'm forgetting my buddy, Jeff Hayden.
Oh, yeah.
Who does the motivation myth. Essentially it's the concept of setting the goal and then forgetting all about it.
Yes.
But then building the processes to get there.
Right.
And then don't worry about the goal, just work on each step at a time. So that was another theme. So in going with that theme of process, I haven't had a quote like this stick with me in a long, long time. I read it in a Seth Godin book, but it's actually from Elizabeth King, who's a sculptor of all things.
It's not often, outside of like Leonardo da Vinci, that many people quote sculptors. So.
Right. But let me know what you think about this one. And I've shared this, so some of the audience will know. But the quote is, "Process saves us from the poverty of our intentions." And that has haunted me for weeks.
That one, that hits deep,
It does. It calls me. I feel attacked.
Right.
Honestly.
Yeah. I mean, we all have the best intentions. The problem is I'm gonna forget what the quote is, but there are tons of quotes about the best intentions, and it's so spot on, because if we don't have a process, whatever it is, whether it's building an Amazon business, whether it's losing weight, which I bring that up because you just recently did it, like you had a process. You had, here's what my goal is, and then now I'm going to back that up, and I'm going to hit the gym X amount of times a week. I'm going to eat this many calories per day, and then I'm going to do it every single day and fall in love with the process to get to my goal. And then you did,
right.
But without that process, you end up either not getting there or it takes 6 months longer or whatever it is. So yeah,
absolutely. And that's, all the way down to building each meal for this weight loss challenge. It was really, you get into the weeds, but that was, if I hadn't done it, I would still be sitting here, 25 whatever pounds heavier and going, well, yeah, I really need to work out. And that's the intention, but it was the process that got me there.
Absolutely.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. That was a great quote. So listen, I think that you guys will absolutely enjoy this series that we're going to be releasing. It was fun. It was informative. I think that the guests all were incredible. We're definitely going to have them back on. because there's a lot more that we need to dive into. So really do hope you guys enjoy this episode, and or not this episode, but the series that's coming out, and let us know if you want us to do more things like this, because Chris and I have already talked about getting together and doing more of these live and in person, because we I don't know, it really did feel different, but a good different. Mm-hmm. So hope you guys enjoy it, and if you have any questions, let us know, or drop a comment down in the comment section, and we'll make sure to read every single one. So that's the show. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks for listening to Clear the Shelf with Chris and Chris. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a screenshot on your phone and share to Facebook, Instagram, or your favorite FBA group, and be sure to tag me and let me know why you liked it and what you'd like to hear more from us in the future. Also, I'd like to give you some free gifts for listening. Head over to rabbittrailchallenge.com and repricerchallenge.com for some free courses to further your business. Thanks for listening.